playing along, you guys.
No, why not? And we're live.
That's the theory. Are we?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we're live then. Thanks for joining us this evening. We are excited for this topic, which is more and more important, especially in these weird times we're all living in when live performance and touring has all but evaporated and digital entertainment is taking over the world. Knowing how, where, and with what tools to get your music integrated into those digital and visual experiences can be a lucrative skill. Tonight, we're sharing from the unceded traditional territory of the Comox First Nation on land they shared with the Aigsan and Pentlatch people. We're grateful for the collaboration and opportunity to live, work, and play in the forests, rivers, beaches, and lands that belong to them. We'd also like to thank the BC Arts Council and the province of BC for supporting these professional development opportunities for artists. After years of writing songs while making a living as a musical stand-up comedian in the UK, Helen Austin's move to Canada in 2002 was a catalyst for her musical career. While most of her time is focused on folk pop duo Big Little Lions with her musical partner Paul Otten, she writes music exclusively for Riptide Music Publishers and has had countless placements on TV, ads, and film. Her music, both solo and as the duo, has won many awards, including the Juno and the John Lennon Songwriting Competition Song of the Year. You can hear her music regularly on CBC, and I will allow her to introduce Paul. And with that, I give you Helen Austin and Paul Otten.
Thank you, Kira. So yeah, this is Paul Otten. He is an accomplished, prolific songwriter with awards and many placements. So many more placements than I have because he does it constantly. He's writing and recording constantly. So yeah, and so we're Big Little Lions, and that's what we do. So there you go.
Yeah.
Oh look, you can have comments show up. So if there's any comments, otherwise we'll just talk. Tell us how you got started, Paul. Let's interview each other.
Well, Gab, how did I get started?
You're still quite quiet. Do you want to just make sure you're right close on the?
Is this better?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Just get close.
I got started a long time ago, I guess now. It's been over 10 years since I started in film and TV licensing. I found out through our friend Google exactly how to go about doing it. So I just searched around, watched some YouTube interviews with some folks that were already doing it, had been doing it for a while. I was like, it's something I think I could do. So I basically set up a makeshift studio and used GarageBand, and then moved on to Logic Pro, which is another Apple program, and taught myself that and kind of got familiar with how to record myself, and just started pitching through different opportunities came in my email box, I guess, and I would pitch these ideas to people, and luckily they got picked up rather quickly. Some songs got picked up for licensing, and I'd say within a year or two I had a couple TV shows that they landed in, so that was nice. And then it's kind of built since then, and I think my goal has been to build my catalog, my song catalog as large as possible, and just have more songs out there working. So nothing's guaranteed. I mean, we can attest to that. It's a long game. I mean, one of the first songs, I think the first song we ever wrote in 2012 together, just like a year or so ago, ended up in an ad. So, that's almost 10 years that it took for that song to land somewhere. So, yeah. When did you get started, Helen, in the whole licensing game?
Well, it's weird because I didn't know you at the time, but I was doing the same thing. So I started on GarageBand, and then I got Logic, and that was a massive, massive learning curve. And neither of us like reading instruction manuals, so we just learnt it intuitively and figured out stuff as we went along, which, I don't know if that's the smartest way to do it, but it's worked for both of us. And yeah, early on,
Did we make it up as we go along?
we did make it up as we go along. That's a song of ours called "Make It Up as We Go Along." It's our theme tune, really. But at that time, there was a lot of outlets for a lot of publishers were looking for stuff on things like Sonic Bids and Taxi, and there was a whole bunch of different what are they called, platforms for people to put their music and opportunities. And I actually found the publisher I'm with now through Sonic Bids, which is, is Sonic Bids even still a thing? I don't even know.
I have no idea. I never really used it, actually. I used Taxi, and that's how we met.
That's how we met. But with Sonic Bids, I also got 3 songs in an indie movie through that, and I ended up going to the premiere in New York. It was with the woman from the mother in Back to the Future, and Judd Nelson, I want to say. Anyway, Taxi is how Paul and I ended up meeting, because we were both submitting music to publishers via Taxi, which we sound like we work for Taxi. We don't. We neither of us. I'm not even in it anymore. Are you, Paul?
I'm not.
Because we
but
don't
at the
really
time,
need
it was the best. At the time, for me, it was the best way I could find, in my limited capabilities, to be able to find anybody to pitch to. So it really worked out for me. And then I met a whole community of songwriters that were part of Taxi that kind of guided me a little bit, and I started collaborating with. So for me, it's worked wonders.
Yeah, same here. I mean,
but
I used
sadly, go ahead.
Sorry, what? Oh, I used their custom critiques for a while because, for $20 to get feedback. At the time, I had no idea what I was doing. So to get feedback from someone in the business was really great, and it kind of shaped the way I did things. And I just submitted to more things, and I got picked up by a couple of publishers via that. And then, but it was the Taxi road rally, the conference, that was the most important thing, and that's where we met, and we've got a whole community of friends. So I think what Taxi really enabled is not Taxi itself; it's enabling the community of people to actually, get together and with. Oh, Taxi is definitely still a thing. It's had some bad press, people, because they haven't got placements within 6 months of submitting. They think it's a scam. It's not a scam. It's just not for everybody.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say,
it's
Paul?
Definitely not for you if you're looking for immediate, instant results.
I don't think anything's for you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can hear you. I think there's a bit of a delay.
There's a delay. I apologize. I don't know what's going on. But instant gratification or instant results, then really music.
I like the comments from the Arts Council. But yeah, you're really slow, Paul. And not as a person, just your internet. Well, I'll keep talking because Paul's frozen.
Yeah. Sadly, there's not much I can do about that.
Yeah, that's a shame. Yeah, it's hit and miss, isn't it? We're lucky that we haven't had to have these problems when we've done our showcases. That would be a problem. But so the Comox Valley Arts says no instant results. I know it is a shocker, but you really have to be playing the long game. And everybody's path is different. We know a lot of people looking for we get emails from people looking for the easy button. There isn't one. You have to do your own research and find publishers that fit with you. And I mean, Google really is your friend. Isn't it, Paul?
Yes.
I'm going to hand it over to you for a bit because I don't think we can talk over it.
I can. It's tough because I can't tell if you can actually hear me or if I'm coming through or not. So
I can hear you right now.
I guess I can just talk. Okay. We have a clear moment. Yeah, it's definitely no instant results in anything with dealing with licensing and public. So you just kind of but I think you have to learn the language. I learned the language of the business as well. If you're going to be dealing one-on-one with publishers or music supervisors, I know a lot of people that reach out directly to music supervisors, which I haven't really done much of. But you got to speak their language, or you come off like a amateur, which they don't. Which is why they like to work with publishers, because that's their business, is talking to music supervisors. So, and Helen, what is a music supervisor?
A music supervisor is the person that finds the music to place in a scene in a movie or an ad or a TV show. And yeah, I mean, early on, I approached a lot of music supervisors, and I dealt with a few directly at the beginning, but I felt I really didn't know what I was doing. And so when I found the publisher I'm with now, there was one time I got a director supervisor placement in Korea, but I could have dealt with it myself and taken all the money myself, but I really didn't trust that I knew what I was doing enough, even though I'd done a lot of reading at that time because of the international licensing. So I ended up getting my publishers to do it, and then they did me a really, really good rate. They didn't take the usual. It's usually a 50-50 rate, and they didn't take that because they hadn't found it. I had found it. But before that, I bought a book. I know, a book. You could probably get it all online now, but I bought a book on the business of music, the business of licensing music, the business of contracts. And it was heavy going, but it was really important just to understand the basics of it. So I didn't feel completely stupid when talking to people about this stuff. What about you, Paul?
Yeah.
I don't know what the gap is.
Everything is delayed. It's so tough.
Oh, it's like our relationship, isn't it?
Yes.
So what exactly
is a pitch? Well, a pitch is if it's something you would get a brief. Basically, it's a brief you get from a publisher or music library. If they are looking for something specific, usually it comes to us when a music supervisor comes to them, and maybe they're on set on the soundstage, or they're editing a TV show or movie and they need to replace a song, and they come to you and they give you, I don't know, they give you specifics or like sound-alike artists. We need a happy song about home. in the style of requests. Yeah, in the style of Snow Patrol and Coldplay, let's say. But the trick there is then not to emulate Coldplay and Snow Patrol, but sound like you could be on the same Spotify playlist as that genre. And you kind of work to what maybe there's some specific lyrical direction, mood that they're looking for. So you kind of work around that. And is there a formula?
Well, I'm thinking, because I'm looking at this, is there a formula, a specific way to be presented? Maybe we start earlier on how to actually get to a publisher, because it's all very well saying, a publisher, sends us, a pitch, but how do you even get to that point of finding the publisher? And let's say for us, it was Taxi and things like Sonic Bids. I don't know if there's other. Broad Jam was another one that was out there. I mean, I think that's still going as well.
Well, there's Sound something. I mean, people post their stuff on SoundCloud, and they can, in the past, have been picked up by that. But
yeah, no cold calling. They said
there used to. Yeah, there used to be Hit License, and now there's another one. Hit License is no more.
Yeah.
But there's another one out there, and I'm not a member of it, but I can't remember the name of it. I'll have to look it up.
Well, while you're doing that, I'm going to talk about how if I was going to be looking for if I was starting right now and I was going to be looking for a publisher, I would Google and do some research on the people that you Google, see who they've got, because we're listed with Riptide as their artists. And then send a really a simple email with links to songs, preferably stuff like SoundCloud, YouTube, anything that's like a a platform that people use a lot is useful. Don't send any attachments. They don't want attachments bunging up their inboxes. And just a simple thing of my name's, if it's us, we're Big Little Lions, we do folk pop genre in the style of Monsters and Men, Head and the Heart. That would be our pitch, because they don't have time to read long. I grew up in Durham and then I moved to London, and then they don't want to know all that stuff. They just want to know who you are, what you sound like, and then links, and then they can look at that and decide if it's music that they think they can push to music supervisors. And I've had friends that have asked me to send stuff to my publisher, and I have, or musician friends that I know, and they're usually pretty honest. Say no, we just don't think this is something we think we can, or send them my way. So,
Music publishers don't have time to beat around the bush and kind of pump you up falsely. If they don't like something, they're not going to take it. If they do, then they actually like it. They think it could work. But I've done the same. I've sent music to publishers I know on behalf of others, and sometimes they're like, it's not bad. Ask them to send me more or connect me with them. And a lot of times it's just like, this is not sounding like something I could pitch. And the problem there is a lot of artists are just sending stuff they've recorded in the past for albums, and it wasn't necessarily written with film and TV in mind. So there are things like universal lyrics you should keep in mind when you're writing lyrics for film and TV. Nothing specific in your lyrics: times, dates, places, people's names, stuff like that. So.
And publishers don't tend to specialize in certain genres, because they're getting, they want to be able to get stuff out to as many TV shows and movies and ads as possible. So it tends to be fairly broad. The two distinct
possibly
things
the quirkier. Oh, go ahead.
Well, so the two distinct things I would say is the vocal stuff, and then there tends to be instrumental. You'll get instrumental libraries, and that's where they obviously just want instrumentals. But the publishers that we use right now, that's it's vocal, but it's all types of music.
Yeah, and probably sometimes the quirkier your niche is, a lot of times that might be like a gold mine to a publisher. If it's something they just don't have a plethora of, and they think it could be used, then I would go for it. If it's sometimes, even if it's like polka, I don't know.
But if it's like two extremes, isn't it? You got you either want to sound like somebody so they can replace something they can't afford, or something that's so out there that nobody else does.
Right. For sure.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I'm trying to think. Is it easier to sell instrumental music? Yes. Paul can talk to that. Oh, he's frozen.
You don't want to. Yeah, I know. I just had
You're back.
The screen went blank. Am I back?
You're back.
I never know. What was I saying about being yourself? Because you can sound like you're on the same playlist as the Black Keys, but they don't need another Black Keys. They want you to put your own spin on it for sure, and you want to do that for yourself because you kind of want to make yourself valuable in the industry. You don't want to just be kind of another one-off. All right, this, but why come back to you? You kind of still need your uniqueness thrown in there.
Paul, do you want to talk a bit about instrumental music?
Easier to sell instrumental music?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, but it
Am I
keeps
here?
cutting out. You are here. Talk about instrumental music. Yeah.
I'm going to see if it works if I stop my camera. Hold on. Maybe that'll help. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, look at you
Is
with
this
your
better?
cap
Any
on.
better?
Maybe it is
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
Is this any better audio-wise? Okay.
Yes.
I'll
Yes.
try it this way. Instrumental music is probably what gets used the most in TV shows, especially reality shows and things like that. And once you kind of get into the licensing game, you tend to see even full songs of yours with lyrics. The instrumental version of that might get used way more because there are so many little parts of a show that just have they dip in with a little bit of music, and it's not a vocal song. Vocal songs are usually, setting a scene in like some of these bigger TV shows and stuff, and creating a moment. Not to say you can't create a moment with instrumental music as well.
Well, why don't you tell them
if you're
about
looking
some
for
of your
numbers and lots of.
What's that?
I can't hear you.
You can't what? Can you hear me?
I didn't hear what you asked me.
I said, why don't you tell them a bit about what you're doing right now with the
You
instrumental?
cut out here.
Am I back? Shall I get rid of my
Yeah, you are.
video? I'm back. So why don't you tell
We'll
them
see.
about some of the. All right, I'm going to get rid of mine as well. Is that better?
It should
I
be.
don't know. Okay. Yeah. Tell them about the stuff that you're doing right
Hello?
now with the.
Yeah.
Tell them about the
Well,
stuff
I'm
you're doing.
I'm working with a few different reality shows, and it's all instrumental music. So they give me different styles to work in, upbeat, underscore, emotional storytelling. So these are all 1.5 to 2 minute little snippets of songs, and so I just put something together with movement and with feel, like a real song, just minus the lyrics. So it's still produced in the same way that I produce everything else. And sometimes I'll get a specific scene I have to write to. Go ahead.
What about the do you need full 3 to 4 minute songs when you're pitching? If you're pitching as an artist, yes, you want your full vocal songs. If you're looking to just do instrumental, then you want to find libraries rather than it's publishers, but you're looking for instrumental libraries if that's what you're looking to do. But for songs, you want to send the full song. You also want to be able to have access to the instrumental version and hopefully an a cappella version as well. As many versions of the song as you can possibly get. Especially if you're recording in a studio, if you don't have the control, if you're not recording it yourself and you don't have the control, then you want to get get them to mix as many different versions as possible, so you've got as much to give the publisher as possible.
Yes. Yeah, and more. Can you still hear me?
I can. Yes.
Okay. I hate that I have to keep checking on that.
I know. I'll put this back on.
More and more publishers are looking for stems, and stems are say you did a recording. So a stem is like maybe the drum percussion track. That would be a stem, and you solo that out, bounce that down as a wave file. Vocal track, that's a stem. More and more of them are looking to break out your song into stems and alternate versions of the song because it just helps them to sell it to a TV show better. It's less work for the editor on a show to do in post. So alt versions, I do that a lot with one publisher. A mix without percussion, mix without the lead instrument. If you have a melodic instrument going through it. What is syncing? Helen, you answer that.
Syncing is what it says. It's matching up the music to the visual, so audio to the visual. So they call it sync licensing because it's because that's what they're doing. I don't know how else is that. Is that the correct interpretation that I'm thinking of, or are you wanting to know what licensing is? I know, Paul. Am I getting that wrong?
No, I think you got it right.
Yeah, it's just
Sync
matching
license,
up the music.
basically.
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah,
Matching the
most
music
people
to
just
film.
call it licensing now. Yeah, that's kind of it.
Syncing it to picture. Yeah.
Yeah. I used to be with a publisher called, oh God, what was it? It was some, they used it in a, I can't remember now. It was a weird name, but used the word sync in it. Something about ketchup. I'm going off on a tangent.
Kitchen sink?
No, what was it called? Oh, I made the mistake at the beginning of signing with lots of different publishers in non-exclusive deals, which meant that lots of publishers had the same song, which was nearly a problem for me because one song was trying to be licensed by a company and they were trying to find it cheaper somewhere else. I had to withdraw it from all the other publishers. So there's exclusive and non-exclusive deals, and but either way, you should never have the same song with different publishers. Once you find a publisher, and if you sign that song to a publisher, that stays with that publisher. And then the scary bit comes is when you sign with a publisher, you're kind of signing the song away for pretty much its lifetime or your lifetime, which is why you can't be too precious about the songs that you have. Because, I do want to talk more about that, Paul.
Well, she asked another question. Do publishers work with all media, across media?
I would say so.
Video games might be different. I think.
Yeah.
I think there's some publishers that might specify in something like video game placements, which I've never worked in video games, but most of the publishers, like that, Helen and I, our publisher, and the other ones I work with it's commercials, movies, and television shows. So that's.
And some online stuff as well. I mean, there's there's
well,
some
that would go
internet
with
stuff.
ad.
Yeah.
Ads can be either full-blown TV appearances, radio, or you might land an ad and it's just internet only, which now is way more prevalent than 10 years ago. You heard your song was going to be using an ad on the internet. You're like, big deal.
Yeah, now it's huge.
What happens to your copyright?
Well, I always want to make sure I get this right. I mean, they own the copyright. Once you've signed, they own the copyright. Sometimes it's for a short period of time, and you've had that before where they've released them back to you. Mm-hmm. And I had that with a few, but the one, because I'm exclusive with them, it's kind of 70 years sort of thing, hopefully you sign with a good publisher, and they, if you make money, they make money, so they're going to try and push as hard as they can. But it is a risk, and when I started doing this, I remember a lot of people saying, "Oh, you're going to sign your life away," and it's like, well, I can sit on the songs and do nothing with them, or I can sign with a publisher and take that risk. So it's just a matter of, do you want to take that risk or not? And for us, it's obviously paid off.
Right.
But you develop a relationship though with the publisher, hopefully. And if you don't, then I think it's important to chat with them and just get a feel for them.
Yeah.
Can you claw back your songs if the publisher doesn't sell them? I mean, we're doing this with a label right now. We're trying to get an album back from a label who did nothing with it. You can try. I know. I guess if they go out of business or something like that, that would be different. But if they still have the songs and they're still trying to push them, because they can't guarantee that they're going to get you a placement, and because it's out of their hands. They can push the music, but it's ultimately down to the music supervisor.
And I have a publisher that signs your songs to perpetuity, so that's forever. And most times it's hard to say if they don't sell them, because like I said, earlier, our song "This Road with You," we wrote it in 2012, and it got in 2018. It got landed in a commercial. You just don't know when it might sell. I mean, it could be 20 years from now, and a song of yours might fit right in a scene for something. So,
but that's why you want quantity, and not quantity over quality, but you want quantity. It's kind of, I always thought it's like throwing darts. You do enough of it, and something, as long as this is a whole other part of licensing. When you're looking to license or to put your music forward, always try and compare it to other songs that are like it for broadcast quality. You want to make sure you're sending something that is going to hold up against songs that are already being licensed. So like Watch TV, or like Paul said about the Spotify playlists, A/B it, like listen to stuff side by side, and if it doesn't match up, then maybe it's time to do a bit more work on the songs.
Yeah, and don't be too precious. If you're in the licensing business, don't be too precious with your songs. If you just want to be an artist and are precious about each song, which I get, then, don't send those songs for licensing. You kind of have to wear both hats. Decide which music you want to sell, basically, and leave with somebody, with a publisher. But so, yeah, I mean, and our tech goal, I guess, is to, write, you submit it, and you move on and let it do its work with the publisher. Yeah. Because as I said earlier, it's a long game. And you don't want to just sit and wait around to see if that one song you sent to them that you really love ever gets placed. You'll drive yourself insane.
Well, I've got an example of this. I spent a whole bunch of money going to Los Angeles. This was set up by my publisher, and we had the best will in the world, and he put me together with this other producer. This is before I met Paul, and we did an album together, and it's a great album. I mean, it's had like 1 or 2 placements, small placements, and I know my publisher had really high hopes for it because the music is really good, but it just obviously hasn't fit anywhere yet, but it's still out there and it's still being pushed, and my hope is at some point something will land. But it was hard. It was really hard because I'd spent a lot of money on that album. So, but that's the risk you take, and I know that. Well, one of the things my publisher's been honest about is he said, we can't be in all places at all times. So we are going to miss out on some opportunities because you just, some music supervisors use other publishers more than them. So yeah, it's all a risk. I mean, but life's a risk, isn't it?
It is. There's no easy button.
There is no easy button. Unless you have the easy button and then you can press it. That was easy.
Yeah, I haven't found the easy button yet. I think Staples has one.
Charlie's got one up in his room, my son. But yeah, it's such a long game, and you do have to just forget about it. You can't be. I was a little bit bitter for a while about that album, but there's no point. You're just wasting your time, and you might as well. And you can always write better songs. If you've written a good song, you can write a better one.
Yeah.
And you have to trust yourself to be able to do that.
That's the fun in it.
It is. Although the worst thing you could say to anybody, we were writing this album, we had this label, this is the one we're trying to claw our music back from, and I sent him a song and he said, I'm looking for a hit. I said to Paul, he's looking for a hit, and Paul spent the next 3 weeks almost incapable of writing because everything was terrible. He said, it's like, I can't write a hit.
Yeah, you can't tell somebody that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was the worst thing to say to a musician. Anyway, it's a long story.
Too much pressure. I guess back in the day they used to. They used to sit in their little offices and I need another hit.
We're always trying to write a hit. I mean, that goes without saying, but to actually say that, you have, there's not a hit on the album yet, is what you said. And it's like, oh, wow. Okay. And then who's to say what he thinks is a hit? So, yeah.
True.
Yeah, it was, but you have to be, to me, music, anyone that's a musician that's listening to this, that you have to be tenacious and thick-skinned anyway. It's just part of it because, you're putting yourself out there and you're putting creativity out there, and when it gets knocked back, it's hard. So, but you just have to kind of move on.
Yeah, we are paid mostly in royalties. Sometimes a license, if you secure a sync license, there'll be an upfront, pay for that, and that price is all over the map.
Oh.
Sometimes it'll be thousands of dollars. Sometimes it'll be a couple $100, and that's an upfront sync fee, is what they call that.
Yeah.
But once again, in the long game, you want to just build up that catalog and keep those royalties coming in.
Yeah, I mean, it's the little ones as well, because I've had a couple of really good upfront sync payments, but it's the little MTV shows that get played over and over again. We've had a lot of stuff on Teen Mom and 16 and Pregnant. It's like slightly embarrassing, but the back end from that is it goes on for years because those shows are just repeated over and over again.
Yeah, and obviously it helps to have if you have a vocal song in a scene on a network show, and it lasts for 2 minutes, then you'll see your royalty shoot way up. I mean, it's just multiplies by, it probably triples or quadruples and the amount that you get in royalties for something like that. But really it's just to get as many tracks and shows, mostly instrumentals, and they'll just keep paying you.
And if you go to listen to them, it can be quite disappointing. I remember the first MTV placement I had, and I was just so excited. And I watched the show, and at one point I went, I think that's it, and it went by so fast. But I'm still get royalties for it, and that was like 2010, I think 2011. Yeah. So yeah, it's ridiculous. These little ones just keep, and it's not a ton of money, but it's all the little bits add up.
Yeah, they do. And she says royalties based on how long your music is on air. Yeah. That factors in for sure. There's a lot of other factors these days. Is it on NBC, CBS, ABC? That could be a factor that usually pays more. Internet, Netflix and stuff like that, their royalty rates aren't as high. Mm-hmm. It's kind of all over the map. It's kind of hard to wrap your head around, like, why did that song pay that much in royalties and this one played for just as long on a different network and it didn't. So I
feel like they just make it up sometimes, but you can't.
Again, feel like they do sometimes.
There's no point in even worrying about it because there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. So you just gotta roll with it. We've had a few end montage scenes, which that's the one you want to get at the end, because that way people actually get to hear the song. And I remember I watched it was the one in Find Me Up. What show was that in?
The
Night Shift. And I'm watching it, and it goes on forever. It feels like I'm like, yes, this is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was longer than the actual song was because they repeated a bit as well. Yeah. And you're like, okay, keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, those are always nice. But, trying to think about, how long they play your song or something for more royalties that's out of your hands. Everything, most of the stuff besides writing and recording the best music you can is out of your hands. You have no control over where a song's going to land, how long the music supervisor wants to have it play for. Any of that is all out of your hands.
Yeah, so if you're a micromanager, it'll drive you crazy. You have to really learn to just let go. What's the most obscure show we've had a song in?
Obscure. Well, maybe the one in Korea.
Do we? Oh yeah. That would. You don't know when something's gonna get played a lot. There was a one in Korea called "Hello My 20s." It's the translation. I don't know. Yeah, and it's been called a couple of things. We had a couple of songs in that. We had "Fills Me Up" and a song called "Soon," and both those songs are regularly our most played songs on Spotify and Apple Music because because the obviously the show's been repeated, because this was quite a few years ago now. So the
Yeah.
show must be repeated, and I constantly get stuff, people posting on our YouTube channel saying, "Oh, we're here because Hello My 20s," and yeah, so they just play it over and over. And yeah, and that's the beauty of, I guess, of all the channels repeating stuff and having stuff on demand. So
Yes.
I guess that, I mean, I've had a song in a Dunkin' Donuts ad in Korea, which was odd. It was
We had a song in a McDonald's ad in.
Oh, in Denmark. I forgot about that one. Oh, that
Denmark.
was so nice. It made me want to eat McDonald's because like the wheat was swaying and the cows were looking really happy, and I was like, oh. And it was a really nice use of our song. Do we find any correlation between people hearing your music? Yes, for sure. If they can
Yes.
hear it, if it's not just in the background, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Most publishers that I work with, if they tell you there's a vocal song placement, they want to get it into stores, or they encourage you to get it up to sell it, because I still get sales. I mean, but you also want it up for streaming. People want to be able to find a song that they hear on a show.
Well, I can see on the data changes if stuff has been in a show, like Stories. Stories was in Elementary, the American Sherlock Holmes, and that's regularly streamed a lot because of that show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
There's
I had
one
a song
thing-
that opened an episode, a crucial episode, I guess, on a show called Longmire, and that played for the entire length of the song, and it kind of led that whole scene of the lead character. It was the first episode of a season like that ended on a cliffhanger the previous season, so this was explained a lot, and that song's just always has comments coming through YouTube, and is probably always my top stream song of my personal songs.
Yeah, I
So
had
that
one
was a
in
big
One
factor.
Sorry. I had one in One Tree Hill, and it was prominent-ish, but no, it wasn't like the end of the thing. And that, I think, because of that, ended up on this amazing Spotify playlist, and ended up with like 7 million plays. And now it's not on the playlist anymore, and then that money goes away, and you go, oh, it's a shame. But yeah, so definitely from being done TV shows that can get noticed.
Yes.
So do you pay something back to the publisher then if you sell the album? I do have a clause in mind that if it goes over a certain amount, that they get a cut of it. I think we've got that on our albums as well. If because of what a placement they get. Actually, that wasn't a placement through Riptide, so that was a whole different placement. So they didn't get anything of that. But yeah, if I think it's something, if you read, this was before streaming, so I'd have to relook at the contract. But I think it was like 500,000 sales or something like that. Then they get a certain amount. So I don't know what it is now, but yes, and they deserve it as well if they've got you the placement and get you those sales.
Yeah.
I don't begrudge them that at all. Does the publisher own your album if you like? They have the copyright of the songs. They don't have the mechanical, which is the other side, which our record label has for our last album. So the label has the mechanical and the publisher has the copyright. I think, is that correct?
Indeed. I think that's right.
Yeah, so when you get paid a sync license, you get it on two sides. You get the publishing sync license, you get the mechanical sync license. And the mechanical is the recording, the actual recording. This is why Taylor Swift's doing what she's doing right now. She's re-recording her album because of the whole Scooter Braun thing, and he owns that, and so she's just recording them again, exactly the same, so she can own that album. Yeah, so that's that side, and the publishing is the writing side. The copyright is the writing side. Maybe we need to do another session on copyright publishing and recording. It's such a big subject, and this is why it's good if people are actually here and they can ask the questions they want to ask, because we never know if we're answering what they want to know. Yeah.
I mean, I know going back to the company Taxi, I think they still do a online live Taxi TV Live. I
Oh,
think
the
it's
Monday,
on Mondays.
yeah.
I used to watch that a lot, and I learned a lot of how the business works through watching that. I don't know what platform they're on anymore.
I think they're on YouTube.
Is it YouTube?
Yeah, I think it's YouTube. And I'm sure there's tons of YouTubes out there of people talking about this, or podcasts, or
Yeah.
I mean, we're not.
So anywhere you can listen to somebody in the business talking about the business.
We just
what
know
they
it from like a
expect.
grassroots point of view. From like we both started from scratch at the same level, level of record. Not knowing how to record, not knowing anything. So neither of us have gone to school for this or done anything like that. So I think that's where we have some of that knowledge. And and we know a lot of people have the same knowledge. We just
and
have to talk
and
about
attend conferences when they open back up. ASCAP has a conference. BMI has a conference. Taxi has a conference.
And people are having online conferences right now. So if stuff like travel and accommodation is making it too expensive, then right now is because I'm in the middle of the week of Folk Alliance right now, and there's a lot of people have come because they don't have to do the outlay for travel and accommodation. So I think there's just been a music supervisor conference type thing as well. I it was the same week as this, so I couldn't do it. So yeah, go and have a look for online conferences, because there's so many panels, and because right now they are online, then the conferences aren't as expensive as they normally are. In fact, Folk Alliance was pay what you can. It had a sliding scale, and it's still going on right now. There's still panels you can still join, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. There's definitely a wealth of knowledge you could find online if you just search for it. As far as the licensing world goes.
Well, in the same way, this is going to be left online. I'm sure there's other things like this online by other people.
Yeah, I would seek out anything where music supervisors are speaking about the business. You could probably find on YouTube.
Any warning? Yes, warnings of things to stay away from. Anyone that wants to charge you money up front. That's no publisher charges money up front.
Yeah, and things like Taxi and Sonic Bids are different. They're not publishers.
Yeah, that's a service. You're paying for to be part of a community. You're paying for but an actual publisher, a real one, will never.
They're not an actual publisher if they ask you for money.
No, and I get emails all the time. I got one the other day that has all these links all over it, but you could tell the links were going to take you to a scam somewhere. So just be really wary of.
Just be smart about it, and be practical, smart, and I mean the only thing a publisher's going to ask for you is 50%
of something that they get you.
Yeah.
And also, it's probably better for you to find them than for them to find you. Because if you find them, you're seeking them out. Somebody who's seeking you out, publishers actually don't need to seek out musicians. They have plenty of musicians. So I think any publisher that's actually emailing people to try and get them to give you the music, I would be suspicious of that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I concur, Helen.
Do you? Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably all we've got to say on the matter for now.
I've got not another word.
Well, that was awesome. And I'm very grateful to both of you for sticking with us while we ran this little experiment today.
Well, I'm doing another one of these in March, but that's about the DIY musician. I mean, Paul, if you want to join me for that one as well, because that's just about being an all, the fact that we do it all ourselves. We don't have, we have. I mean, we have managers, but right now, there's nothing they can really do.
Yeah, the best thing you could do for yourself is to learn how to record at home.
Yeah, in licensing for sure.
Especially, I mean, you hit this pandemic, and a lot of people rely on having to go to a recording studio to record anything.
It doesn't take a lot. We can in the next one we can tell you about our setups. How little you really do need to record.
Perfect. That sounds like we got a series coming up.
Hopefully I'll have better Wi-Fi by then.
Well, now you're fine. Look, you're clear as day.
Yeah, you look marvelous.
Of course. Everybody else logged off of Zoom for the night.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for joining us. And I do look forward to the next ones that we can do together.
Yeah, we've got one booked in, haven't we? March.
Yeah, we do. And that is coming up on, get the calendar out. Quick.
March 12th, is that correct?
It is, I should know this.
You know,
I've
got my calendar.
Yeah. Why don't I know this off the top
of
my head?
It is March 12th at
there
2
it is.
o'clock.
2 o'clock? 3 o'clock?
So
2 o'clock?
Yeah. 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
I needed to, yes, 3 o'clock. I moved it. I hadn't moved it on my thing, yeah. So
all right,
6 o'clock your time, Paul.
March 12th?
March 12th.
It's a Friday night. Have you got some mad Friday night plans?
Yeah, right.
Gonna go to
awesome.
a party?
Yes. All right. Well, thank you all. Thank you both so much. And
thank you for asking us to do this. Yeah. It's nice to realize that you know stuff.
Right? And it's so generous of you to share that knowledge and to encourage folks who are out there just trying to make it work. I know it's been so incredibly hard for musicians in particular during this weird, crazy thing that we're all going through together. Yep. And so very much appreciate you sharing and opening your minds and your hearts to help people get where they want to go.
Oh, I'm more than happy to do it. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, until next time, March 12th.
Yes.
And maybe beyond.
Okay.
Have a wonderful evening and thanks for joining us.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.